Welcome back to the show today. We are talking about small market NBA teams. And can they compete with large market teams? Or more so, what's the difference between a large market team and a small market team? Why would an NBA player care if he's playing in a city with a lot of people or not a lot of people in it? The NBA has a salary cap, so it's not even like large market teams can afford to pay players more. There are a lot of limitations on how much money a team can spend on their roster. When it comes to payroll, generally all the teams pay about the same amount. Teams don't double other teams' payrolls. That doesn't really happen. Because not only does the NBA limit how much you can spend, it also limits how little you can spend as well. I'll just cut to the chase. I think this small market teams are at a disadvantage is sort of false rhetoric. It's a lie. It's based off of old information that's not really relevant anymore. I've been hearing people talk about it a lot lately in regards to the draft that just happened. This year, teams that didn't have great odds of getting the 1 through 3 pick did get the 1 through 3 pick, leaving teams like Washington, Charlotte, and Utah with lower picks. People are saying they need to change the lottery odds. These small market teams need to have a chance to compete, and the draft is how they do it. A team like Charlotte or Portland needs to get a high draft pick because they can't attract free agents. And you probably think, well, that doesn't actually make sense. The draft doesn't favor small market teams, it favors bad teams. Also, a lot of these bad teams aren't even small market. The Wizards, playing the 7th largest metropolitan area in the United States, they're a large market team. Also, free agency is less common than it's ever been. Most players just end up extending their contracts before they even hit free agency. Another thing is small market teams do win championships. It happens with some regularity. The idea that small market teams are at a disadvantage in the NBA is just kind of an excuse for teams to continue being bad. I think the biggest example of a successful small market team is the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs are the 19th most populated metro area in the NBA. San Antonio is a very small market, and the Spurs are their only sports franchise. But they're still one of the most winning franchises in the NBA. They've won 5 championships over the last 30 years. That's more than any other NBA team. Well, how are they doing this? I thought small markets didn't stand a chance against big markets. Well, it's because they drafted David Robinson with the #1 pick in 1987. And then 10 years later in 1997, they drafted Tim Duncan. The Spurs are just an anomaly. They were blessed with 2 of the best players of all time. It's an act of God. I shouldn't use them as the example of why small markets actually can succeed in the NBA. No, this isn't true at all. Since David Robinson was drafted, the Cavs have gotten 4 #1 picks, and some of those picks were pretty damn good. The Magic have also gotten 4 first picks. Some of those picks were pretty good too. The San Antonio Spurs, unfortunately, are just a good organization, and they know how to assemble a good team. Look at Tony Parker, who was drafted 28th overall in 2001. Tony Parker wasn't on any other team's radar. The Spurs just had the best scouts. They were looking at players in other leagues, like Tony and Manu Ginobili in 1999. As a matter of fact, guess who scouted Tony Parker? It was Sam Presti, the current GM of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Even though they were both low draft picks, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili turned into some of the best players in the NBA. If you think the NBA draft is all luck and not skill, I'd hope after hearing this, you wouldn't feel that way now. So now let's take a look at some of these big market teams. Let's take the Knicks as an example. The Knicks are one of the oldest franchises in the NBA. They're also the highest valued team in the NBA at $8 billion. They play in the NBA's most recognizable arena, Madison Square Garden. This is by far the largest market in the US. As a matter of fact, New York City is over 10 times the size of San Antonio. And their owner, James Dolan, isn't cheap. He's dipped into the luxury tax tons of times. They've got loads of celebrities coming out to their games. On the same note, they've got the most expensive tickets in the NBA. If there was ever a big market team in the NBA, this is the team. But this is the first time they made the Eastern Conference Finals since 2000. The Knicks have been kind of bad over the last 20 years. They've missed the playoffs more than they've made it. And to the argument that free agents want to sign in big markets, the Knicks have missed out on loads of free agents. LeBron and Bosh were both targets for the Knicks in 2010. Didn't get them. They also missed out on Steve Nash in 2012. Then I think one of the biggest disses was when KD and Kyrie went to the Brooklyn Nets instead of signing with the Knicks. The Nets are like a little brother to the Knicks, and they basically have no fans. But KD and Kyrie went to that team because they were better than the Knicks. They'd at least been to the playoffs the season before. So this idea that NBA free agents will always sign with a larger market than a smaller market isn't true. It's not at all. So let's talk about NBA free agents. First of all, NBA free agency is not as exciting as it used to be. NBA free agency used to have like 10 stars that were signing new contracts. We never have that anymore. Think about it, every player just signs an extension with whatever team they're on. So they never hit free agency. The player is always just trying to secure his bag, and then the team just wants to hold on to the player just for an asset if they don't want it. So LeBron signing with the Heat or Shaq Shaq signing with the Lakers, Kevin Durant signing with Golden State, all that stuff's a thing in the past. We don't really see it anymore. Trade demands are really the new free agency, aren't they? And to that point, it's not like these players are ending up on the teams they're demanding to go to, are they? And it would seem now that a player wants to go to a team for one of two reasons. Number one is they just want a bag, they want the most amount of money for the longest period of time. Look at Paul George last summer. He was already in a big market with the Los Angeles Clippers. They offered him a 3-year deal, and the Philadelphia 76ers offered him a 4-year deal with a player option. The guy's been in LA for 6 years, he grew up there, you'd think he'd want to stay. But these NBA players, they're guided by their ego. And if there's a team that sees him the way he wants to be seen as a 4-year max guy, he's gonna go to that team. Because they see him the way he sees himself. They couldn't care less where the team is. And the other, more noble reason is they like the team, they like the organization, they like the guy. The Lakers offered DeMar DeRozan just as much money as the Kings did this offseason. He chose the smaller market over the larger market. This idea that LA or New York City will make a player into a big star is definitely antiquated given the advent of the internet. Now let's talk about baseball. I don't really want to talk about baseball either, but we gotta do it. I think this big market kills small market narrative comes from baseball, mainly the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees have sort of become synonymous with capitalism in sports. They make the most money, they got their TV deal with the Yes Network, they sell tons of merch, they've got all these corporate sponsorships. The Yankees generate the most money in baseball. And since there's no salary cap in baseball, all that revenue can go and be spent on the roster. The Yankees signed Jason Giambi away from the Athletics in 2001. They took Johnny Damon away from the Red Sox in 2005, which is kind of funny because the Sox took Damon from the Athletics in 2001. Garrett Cole, CC Sabathia, I could go on. The thing is though, money has now evened out because most of the people that own professional sports franchises bought them. All these billionaire owners have other businesses that they've made their money from. So now in the MLB, you have tons of proverbial New York Yankees. The Blue Jays, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Mets, they all actually have larger payrolls than the Yankees now. Now, granted, most of those teams aren't small market teams, but my point is, regardless of the market, it doesn't really have anything to do with how much these athletes are making. It has more to do with how much money the owner is willing to spend. In 10 years, I'd have to imagine most sports franchises are going to be owned by oligarchs, whose only limitations on how much they can spend are going to be the actual rules of the league. What I'm trying to say is small market teams have that big market privilege now as well. The size of your team's market isn't the reason it sucks, I'm sorry. So right now, I'm making this video in hopes that the Pacers beat the Knicks just to prove my point for the video, being that I believe team success doesn't really have to do with the size of the city and more to do with the wealth of the owner. Let's go Pacers. But even in the NBA, payroll doesn't even really matter that much. There's only 5 guys out on the court at a time, so it's less about how much a team can spend on their roster and more about how much value a team can squeeze out of a single player. Let's take a look at the Knicks payroll and compare it to the Pacers payroll. The Knicks payroll total is $188 million while the Pacers is $169. Nice. See, it's not crazy different, is it? Generally, most NBA teams have similar payrolls. But let's take a look at individual contributors. Aaron Nesmith is making $11 million a year. In the playoffs, he's contributing 12 points a game, he's shooting 43% from 3, and he's playing great defense. We can compare him to Josh Hart on the Knicks, who's making $18 million a year with similar stats. Obviously, they do different things on the court and have different skills, but they play similar minutes. Even a guy like Ben Shepherd, who's averaging 13 minutes per game, he's on a $2.5 million contract. That's like a couple bucks per solid minute of defense. Good teams don't judge the value of their players based on how much they're paying their players. If you want to be a successful NBA team, you don't need the best players in the league on huge contracts. You just need to make sure you spend up to the salary cap and make sure that each player is cost effective. That's all. All right, thank you for being here. Thank you for liking the show. People have been liking the show. Now, the channel is big time. Yeah, the Patreon exists. Get a podcast, $2 a month. Leave a comment. I might do a suggestion one of these days. I'd be good to your mom. Don't eat a corn dog. No more corn dogs. No one's eating corn dogs anymore. Corn dogs are dead. Don't eat them. They're gross. It's carnival food. Like a funnel cake. Disgusting. Don't eat it. Corn dogs are done. It's over.